Yes, of course.
Thank you for giving way. Does he agree with me that community land trusts offer potentially a really large part of the answer to the housing shortage in this country, because uniquely among new developments they frequently have considerable support from local communities? And join me in saying, although this budget was overwhelmingly brilliant, it is some disappointment that the Community Housing Fund was not extended to meet the enormous demand that exists for community land trusts.
I do agree with everything that he says, and in particular I draw attention to the front page, because it's got the quote on it that is utterly apposite for what he was just saying. This is a Demos book from several years ago. I happened to attend the launch. It's called Community Builders, Demos, the think tank, of course, where it says on the front page, and I quote, "Giving communities more power over local housing developments can help to get more homes built." Now, there are various arguments that are made against community housing and against alternative ways of doing things. But one of the things I'm hoping to stress and make sure the Minister is aware of by the end of this debate, so I might as well say it now, is if the Minister and the Ministry and indeed the Treasury, who we know very well all of its targets for infrastructure are based around what housing can also be delivered. So I was in a meeting with the Transport Secretary the other day, and I've been in various meetings with ministers over the last few weeks, as many of us have, lobbying for our own areas, where the very clear indication was given, if this brings more housing, you're more likely to get your bypass, you're more likely to get your dualling of your major road, and so on and so forth. My point to the Minister is, if he and his colleagues want to see more acceptance for this extra housing, if they want to see greater density than might otherwise be achieved, if they want to see a system that is against sprawl and in favour of the most efficient use of land, including brownfield, if they want to see something that's more environmentally sustainable and green rather than just greenwash, all of these, not some of them, all of them are made easier if you involve the community. I was talking to one of our colleagues, well, let me put it this way, it was the Secretary of State earlier today, who mentioned a view, it wasn't his view, but the view he said he believes may be held by some in the Treasury, that community housing may not represent quite such good value for money. I'll tell you what definitely doesn't represent good value for money, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and that's having a parcel of land being handed on from pillar to post, from one public sector body to another, sometimes for generations, until my right honourable friend, the member for Uxbridge, when he was Mayor of London, comes along and finally says, let's cut this Gordian knot and make something happen. And the thing that happened was on the old St Clement's Hospital scheme in Mile End, where he, as Mayor of London, came along to celebrate and open that scheme. It was because it was a community scheme that helped it drive forward. Now, that's much better value for money. And I think, especially in an environment when we're talking about rewriting the Green Book in a more sensible way, we should be thinking much more laterally and much more broadly about how different approaches can deliver better, faster, greener outcomes that are in every sense better for the community, better for our nation, better for our people, and also better value for money. And I thank my honourable friend for helping me raise that point earlier on.